Hi, good morning and welcome to Friday's Facebook Live session, Coffee with Careers. So this morning it's myself, Alison, and my colleague Rhiannon doing this session. So I've got my coffee cup ready. The sun's shining, so I thought I'd go for a nice bright cup this morning.
I've got yellow dots on mine. Yeah.
There we go. So yellow is the theme today then. So we'd like to, a warm welcome really to university and particularly from us here at USW Careers. So hello to all you new students who don't recognise our faces, who haven't seen us before. And also welcome back to any second, third year, final year students that have returned to university this term. So I think really what we probably need to kick off with first is just an introduction into who we are and our roles. So if I start off, my name is Alison Hoban and I'm one of the careers advisors based here at the university. So I tend to take the lead for the business school. And you may well see me in workshops within your subject area. So for example, you may well see me in accountancy and finance session. You might see me in business sessions. Again, you won't see me face to face at the moment, but you will see me remotely because we're still here and we're still delivering. We're just not doing it in person. Also as well, I do careers appointments. So you may well see me in a one-to-one appointment. So at the moment, we're offering those via Teams and telephone. So please book in if you have any kind of careers questions or want to discuss your journey, your future, or maybe if you just want some help with how to go applying for roles or what to do in an interview situation. We're here, we're working, and we're ready to see you. That's just a little bit about who I am. So if I hand over to my colleague, Rhiannon.
Thanks, Al. My name's Rhiannon Pugh, and I'm the careers advisor with responsibility for the faculty for life sciences and education. So again, like Alison, I would see you guys on a one-to-one, or maybe you might see me in a workshop. And obviously in the current climate, that would be an online workshop. So you might be studying psychology or sport or teaching, health and social care, teaching, early years. Those are the subject areas that I deal with, nursing as well, chiropractor students. Yeah, I mean, that's my responsibility. But in addition to that, I think, Al, it's fair to say that when we see students on a one-to-one for appointments, we see students from any faculty. So on an average day, I might start with seeing an engineering student and end up with seeing a psychology student or a graduate and sort of every other student in between. But in terms of certainly workshop delivery and our key responsibilities, then we are sort of faculty advisors. Then those are our specialist areas of support. So yeah, so I think that's enough about me. So we'll get on with the session, shall we, Al?
Okay, let's get on. So what we're here for today is to really introduce you to some of the great online resources we've got available for you and to give you a little bit of a tour really of what's out there for you. But before we go on to that, I want to make you all aware of a great competition that we've got running. So it's called Capture Your Career. So if by entering this competition, you can win up to 500 for a digital kit, which could include an iPad, laptop, or Chromebook. All you have to do to take part in this competition is to take a photo of your chosen career path. So for example, as we've kind of said on the information here, which my colleague Helen has pulled up for us, it could be that you want to be an illustrator. So you might take a photo of art materials or an illustrator that you admire. All you need to do is to post these pictures on either Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and include the hashtag USW Capture 2020 and tag us at USW Careers. And then you need to follow us on one of our social media channels to be entered into the draw. So it's a great competition. The draw is going live on the 30th of September. And when you kind of go onto our homepage on our website, there's a link that you can click on to kind of register then to kind of to go into the live session that we're running on Wednesday. Also as well, when you sign up, there are extra prizes that we have available, like Amazon vouchers. So I guess let's get a bit of inspiration going here now, Rhiannon. So let's think about it. If we were going to capture our careers, what would you think of if you were going to be, say, a psychologist? What would you post?
Ooh, well, probably that when you say the word psychologist, the immediate image which springs to mind for me is sort of like the brain. So I try and get some sort of image with, I guess, a brain with like arrows or something going to it. Or the other thing that springs to mind is being a psychologist or studying psychology. It's all about people. So it might be a picture with lots of different types of people. Or I did think a friend of mine, her daughter works as a research psychologist at a university in London, and she works in something called the baby clinic, which sounds like, and she just gets to work with babies all day, which sounds amazing. So I thought, I could have a picture of a baby or something. But I think it's all about people, basically. So psychologist, that would be my sort of thinking around that. But I'm sure our psychology students could come up with something a lot more creative than that. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one now. So if you were going to post something up about being a teacher, what might you post on there?
What would I post for a teacher? I guess I could think about all the different resources that you might use. So you might have a picture of whiteboard. If you're a maths teacher, you might want to put calculator, or the kind of mathematical kind of equipment that you might use.
An abacus.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yes. Also, as well, I guess you might think about quotes that you could add. So I kind of thought, what kind of quotes do you think about when you think about teaching? So maybe something like, is to teach is to touch a life forever. So again, I guess why you want to teach and what inspires you to teach, you can get that across through your capture your career post.
Nice.
That's just a few ideas there. So we're looking forward to seeing all the pictures that you're posting on social media. So
some really good ones there. I can see. I like the cameras one. Interesting. Yeah, so exciting.
Yes,
yeah, some good ones there.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So let's move on now and have a look at the types of resources then that we have available for you to take a look at. So I think the best place to start is with our website. So when you go into our website, this is the kind of homepage you will see. So again, we talked a little bit about appointments if you would like to kind of book an appointment, and you can click on the top button on the right hand side here. I'm pointing at it. Sorry. And book an appointment there, which will take you to AZO, which is our appointment booking system. Normally appointments last about 30 minutes. Also as well, we have MyCareer and CareersConnect, which we're going to give you a little bit of a tour of later on in the session today. But if we kind of scroll down on this front page, if we can go down a bit lower, we can see a tile with information, jobs and career choice on. Brilliant. So again, if we kind of scroll down here, so the jobs and careers choice is a really good place to kind of start if you want to do some initial kind of research into your ideas. Can we open up that jobs and career choice?
Just a bit of a shout out to Helen, our colleague who's doing all the technical stuff behind the scenes here. Thanks, Helen. I think you're doing an amazing job just pulling stuff up all the time. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Brilliant. Thanks, Helen. So again, we've got information and explore your career. And what you'll find here is you'll find some really great kind of stuff to kind of start you kind of maybe exploring your career. One place which is quite a nice place for students to start is with what can I do with my degree? So what you'll find here is you'll find that it takes to a kind of prospects, which is a careers website, which has got loads of information available. And what you can do is you can kind of click on your subject area. So say, for example, you're an accountancy and finance student. And what it will do is it will give you a list of jobs which are directly related to your career area, but other careers that you might also want to consider. This isn't an exhaustive list. There's plenty of other kind of careers you can think of outside of your subject area. If you just wanted to maybe do a little bit of research into, careers specifically related to your area, then this is a good place to start your research. Also, we have a facility called What Job Suits Me. That's also within Prospects, and there's a link on our website to this. And this is where it'll ask you, you can answer a series of questions about your skills, your abilities, your motivation, and it will give you a list of kind of careers that might interest you based on the information that you've provided. So again, this can just be a starting point to just start your career exploration. Often what we say to students is, often if you were going to look at doing this, then maybe book an appointment with us so we can explore some of the ideas that came up. Often it's a really great way to kind of start a conversation about, maybe there was a career that came down a lot lower than you expected. Why? Is it maybe because your understanding of that role isn't what you expected? Or maybe the kind of skills that you want to use maybe aren't the kind of key skills that are looked for in that career area. So again, that's something else that you can look at. Is there anything else you'd like to add over those kind of resources, Rhiannon?
No, I think just to say that I know a lot of students, when they do those job match questionnaires, particularly the one on Prospects, you can be really surprised at the different types of jobs that come up, and probably jobs that you would never have envisaged doing, or even is just absolutely not on your radar. I think it's the key message is that you probably about 60 to 70% of the jobs advertised for graduates, i.e. people with degrees, are open to any degree subject. And the reason for that is that employers, it's very often, it's not so much the subject that you study, but the skills that you develop as a result of studying that degree. So they're what we call high-level graduate skills and attributes. And that's what employers are basically looking for, which is why when you do those sorts of career questionnaires that are targeted at students in university, you get such a broad range of jobs, because it's not your degree subject that's the sort of the driving factor. It's the skills that you develop as a result of studying that particular subject. So from your point of view, is that even as a first year student, that's really, really good news, because it just gives you so many career options and possibilities out there. And it's sort of the world really can be your oyster when you come out of university with a degree. So I think, if there's any message that we would want you to take away today, is that don't limit yourself in terms of the sorts of jobs that you could be doing at the end of university, because they're probably a lot broader than you could ever have imagined at this stage. So that's my plug today, is, really, really sort of be as open-minded as you possibly can. That's my key message for today.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like we said, loads of kind of opportunities out there for you, and, broaden your horizons, really kind of research all the different things you can go into, because you'll be surprised how much is actually out there for you. Okay, another kind of area that I wanted to kind of touch on is the subject links section. So again, I think if you go back to the jobs and career choice section, subject links comes up under this tile. Yes, there it is. So subject links, this is also a great kind of tool if you want to start kind of looking at doing some more research into your career areas. So at the moment, we've kind of got it broken down into 4 kind of faculties. However, we are in the process of updating this, and it's going to be more based around job families. So for example, if you were interested in careers in finance and accountancy, that would be a heading rather than clicking on the faculty, because now Business and Society has merged with creative industries. They're one area with a business school. So yes, so it will be based around jobs families. If you kind of open up as well, then say, for example, if we go to life science and education section, what you'll find is links based on your particular subject area. So for example, if you're a psychology student, you would find really useful information around employers that work within psychology, and kind of really useful websites if you want to kind of do research into different kind of career ideas. So again, this is something else that can be really kind of useful to start looking at, as you start university. Anything you wanna add, Rhiannon?
No, I just reminded myself that just looking at life sciences and education, which is obviously my faculty, is that one of the other key student groups that we work with is professional policing and security. So I completely missed them off the list. Apologies if you're a policing and security student. I'm just noticing that people are sort of coming in, Morgan, Sandro, Danny, Chloe, Jane, just to say that obviously for this session today, we're focusing on looking at these key resources, which we hope you'll find really useful. But if you've got any other general careers questions, because I think this is the last of the Facebook Live or Coffee with Careers sessions that we're doing, any other career related questions, burning questions that you might have, please feel free to post them in the chat box, whether you're a first year, second year, final year. We'll do our best to answer them in this session, hopefully. But yeah, just to reiterate what Alison has said, that the subject links are really, really useful. I think huge amounts of information in there. And I think particularly useful maybe if you're looking at career options, or you're maybe looking at organisations and employers to target if you're looking for internships or placements or graduate jobs. So yeah, don't forget those. And we spend quite a lot of, myself and my colleagues spend a lot of time pulling that information together for you. And we're constantly monitoring and updating the resources in there. So please do use them. Highly recommended.
Okay, the last section I just wanted to kind of highlight today is our personal promotion section. So again, that is, I think that's under the same section, isn't it? We go back to jobs and career choice. Sorry, no, it's the next one along, personal promotion. So again, we've got some really great resources here for you. This is a really good starting point as well if you just want to kind of find out the basics about how to put a CV and cover letter together. We've got some really useful kind of PDF documents that we put together called Your Guide To. So for example, we've got a guide to CVs. So what you'll see is a kind of typical layout of what a graduate or second, third year CV should look like, with then comments on what you should include in all the sections. So again, you might have already completed a CV in school, but now you're kind of moving along to maybe apply for placements, maybe part-time jobs, and again, in your final year, graduate jobs. So again, this will give you some advice on how to kind of tailor those CVs and put those together. Also as well, we've got some really useful hints and tips within our personal promotion section, to kind of help you to really make your CV cover letter stand out. So yeah, so there's some really great resources there that you can have a look at. Is there anything in particular that you would recommend students look at, Rhiannon?
No, I mean, I think, from the queries we get on a regular basis throughout the year, I think probably the sections that are most used and that I guess students find most immediately useful is the Cvs and Covering Letters. Yeah. There's some really great resources on there. And I think very often what we'll ask you to do is check out the resources on there, draft up a CV and covering letter if that's what you're having to do because you're applying for a job or placement. And then if you want an extra check on top of that, then book an appointment with us or submit your CV and letter on the Advice Zone system and we can check it for you and give you feedback. But I think rather than coming to us completely cold with a CV and letter, I would check out the resources first and then pile in with an appointment or a question on AZO if you need to. But the resources there are really, really comprehensive and lots of great stuff, which again we've pulled in from all sorts of great websites and key resources for graduates and students. So do take the time to take a look.
Okay, so shall we move on and have a look at MyCareer?
Indeed. I think, and we're moving on to a resource called MyCareer, which is, again, in terms of resources, it's huge. It's like a one-stop shop of career planning necessities and luxuries that you would need. And there's so many things on there. Alison and I have made the decision that we're just going to focus on a couple of our favourites, really, and ones that we think you would find most useful, whether you're a first year, second year, or final year, or a graduate. But I think rather than go through absolutely everything, we're just going to focus on a few favourites, really, isn't it? I'm going to pick two, and Alison's going to pick two. So, as I say, I think MyCareer is like a one-stop shop, and I have to say, it's a really friendly little system. I clicked on it this morning in preparation for this session because I thought, okay, I need to just get myself in the right sort of mindset. I just have to say, my cat has just walked across the table behind me and luckily hasn't made an appearance on camera. So just slightly distracted there. Apologies for that. But when I clicked onto MyCareer this morning, I say it's a friendly little system, and immediately a message popped up, and I'll just read you the message. It said, "Good morning, Rhiannon. How employable do you think you are? Take this quick self-assessment to get your score." So I thought, okay, let's do it. So I did the quick self-assessment, which literally took about 2 minutes. And it immediately generates a little mini report, which basically tells me, and I got a score of 79%.
Oh, well done.
I should have I was hoping more like 80 to 90, but I randomly answered the questions, and what I should have done was sort of put myself in maybe the mindset of a typical student. But I got 79%, and it generated a little mini report, basically with tips on how to improve, what I could do to improve some of the areas where I was slightly weak, and that little self-assessment was actually something called the Grad Edge Pulse assessment, which is part of the Grad Edge Award, which I'll go on and talk about in a bit more detail in a second. But yeah, I just suddenly reminded myself that actually it's a system which really pulls you in and you get engaged with it very quickly. But that Grad Edge Pulse self-assessment with the little mini report that's generated, it's really, really useful. So if you do nothing else on MyCareer, give the Pulse assessment a go. It's really helpful. So what I'm going to focus on with MyCareer is I'm going to firstly talk about a resource called CV360, and then I'm going to talk briefly about the Grad Edge Awards. So CV360, if you look at the MyCareer webpage, and MyCareer, I think you can access this through Unilife, but we find that, you know, from our point of view, if you're on the careers website, which we've just showed you, you just click the MyCareer, the little turquoise button, and it takes you straight in there. So when you get, yeah, that's right. And yeah, you've got MyCareer, and then you've got CareersConnect underneath it. So you'll see the MyCareer site there. And the CV360 resource is under the Career Tools tab. So Helen is going to click on the Career Tools tab, and she's going to show you the menu for that. And within that menu, there's something called CV360. There you go, you can see it. If you can click onto the CV360, but I'm just going to sort of talk through what it is. CV360 is it's basically a system that will you submit whatever CV you have onto that system, and it instantly scores your CV against 50 checking criteria. And what it's actually doing is it's scoring you on 50 CV criteria that are commonly used on something called applicant. No, I wrote this down because I can never remember the term.
Applicant tracking
systems. Yeah, ATSs, applicant tracking systems. These are used not exclusively, but a lot of big employers and maybe recruitment agencies would use them because they receive so many CVs, hundreds and hundreds of CVs. They're not physically going to, human beings don't physically have the time to check every single one. So what they'll do is they'll put it through an ATS system, which tracks and scores it against certain criteria. So the CV360 will score as if it's going through an ATS system. It will score your CV against that. A word of caution, though, not all employers will use applicant tracker systems. So don't think that you'll get a report generated from CV360, which will tell you good bits and bad bits about your CV against those 50 criteria. Not all employers are going to be using that system, so you sort of need to bear that in mind. But I think if you're starting off with a CV, it can be really, really useful. So when you submit your CV, you literally get instant feedback. And you get a very detailed report, and I'll just sort of pick out some of the key things that you get from that report. I did this some time ago, so I submitted a typical CV example, and I got a score of 70%. And there were some key things on that it liked, and there were some key things on that it didn't like. What it really didn't like, I remember, and revisiting the report, was that the CV submitted was in a PDF format. It really doesn't like that. You have to submit in a Word format. Applicant tracker systems don't like PDFs. And it also, it will look at the visual look of your CV. So it will score you on things like, is it easy to read, the font size, the font style, the amount of words you've used, and the recommended word count on a CV should be between 500 to 800, so not more than 800 words. Is there too much space on there, too much white space, too little white space? It will talk about if you've overused the space bar or tabs on your CV. It will give you an indication about that. And again, that's something you need to be really careful about. It talks about if you've repeated sections or you've left sections out. And my absolute favorite part of CV360 is that it tells you, it will analyze the words and the content that you've used on the CV. And it will tell you what your main skill areas are. So what are the key skills that you're promoting on the CV that will be picked up by the system and then eventually picked up by an employer? And it does that by generating a little word cloud. I don't know whether you've ever seen a word cloud visual, but it's a hugely detailed report that you get. And I think it's a great, if you're new to doing CVs and doing CVs at what we would call undergraduate and graduate level, it's a really, really great starting point. So, so easy to use. Whatever CV you've got, just whack it on the system and it will instantly generate a detailed report. Where it picks up on areas that you need to develop, it will tell you how to do that. So it will signpost you to resources, including get it checked by a careers advisor, but it also signposts you to lots of different resources within MyCareer that you can use to develop and enhance your CV. So Alison, anything you want to say about CV360? You've used it, haven't you? You used it with students quite a lot.
Yeah, what I would say is the only thing it doesn't do is it can't check against a specific job description or person specification.
Yeah.
So, for example, you might score very well in the CV, but have you tailored it for that specific role that you're going for that job that you're currently applying for? So my advice would be, it's a great way to kind of get that overall kind of feeling about your CV. Like you said, have you included all the sections? Are you promoting, you know, what skills are you promoting? It'll tell you about, the layout. How does the layout look? But again, what you need to do then is you do need to then make sure that you check your CV against that specific role that you're applying for, to make sure that you're meeting the criteria that employer has actually set for you. And again, what we can say is we're here to help. So if you wanted to get your CV checked, you know, against a particular role, then you can always book a careers appointment. We also have our kind of e-guidance facility called Ask a Question. So again, that's underneath the appointment section. So if maybe, you know, you're too busy to kind of book a one-to-one appointment, or you'd rather get some written feedback, you can attach your CV and send it to ask a question. But again, if you are asking for a CV check against a specific role that you're going for, please add all of the details that the employer has sent you, because again, that helps us to actually make sure that you have hit all their criteria. So for example, if you've had a person's specification where they've maybe outlined essential desirable criteria, then make sure you pop all that across with your CV so that we've got a real good idea of what the employer is looking for, to make sure that your CV, cover letter is on point, that you really have hit all the criteria that employer is looking for, and that you will get through to the next stage of the interview process.
Great, thanks, Sal. That's brilliant. And I think, you know, CV 360 is one of a whole raft of resources to use. But I think we always say it's a really good starting point if you're new to CVs and you're not quite sure where you're going. It's a good starting point maybe before moving on and getting it checked by one of us, either myself or Alison or Rebecca or Nicola, whoever's doing, you know, checking those CVs for you. Okay, I'm just sort of looking at the time. So I'm actually going to race through my net. We're on 11:32. We've got quite a lot to get through actually. So I'm going to race through Grad Edge. So the other thing that I wanted to briefly talk about on the MyCareer system is something called the Grad Edge Award. Now, this isn't live on the system at the moment because it's having a bit of a makeover. And we're due to relaunch it. We think it's going to relaunch in the next couple of weeks, probably the 6th of October. One of my colleagues has told me. Basically, in summary, is what this is this is an extracurricular award that you can do in your own time, completely online. It's something extra that you can add to your CV, to your application forms, and something that you can talk about in an interview, whether you're being interviewed for a placement, internship, or a graduate job. What it does, and I've written this down because it's sort of literally hot off the press. It focuses on the recruitment process. So it basically gives you an insight into the typical recruitment process for an undergraduate placement or a graduate job. There are 6 steps to it. And it takes you through, again, the sort of theme of the morning is CVs, covering letters, application forms, talks about putting a good LinkedIn profile together, takes you through everything you need to know about interviews, including digital interviews, and also something called an elevator pitch. I'm not going to talk about an elevator pitch. I'm going to leave you to find out what an elevator pitch is. It can form either explicitly or implicitly part of the graduate recruitment process, but it's basically all about how do you sell yourself into that amazing placement or into that dream graduate job.
And if I can just include it, and there is an elevator pitch tool on MyCareer, so if you wanted to have a look at that in more detail, you can look at that.
So your task for the day, whoever's watching, is find out what an elevator pitch is, and start honing your elevator pitches ready for those all important interviews. So the Grad Edge Award, it's not live yet, but it is something, it's straightforward to do. It's an online thing. It's an extracurricular thing, and it's a good thing to do if you want to demonstrate to an employer that you're willing to go over and above what is, normally expected of you. So you don't have to do it. But we would highly recommend it, because it really does tune you into what a typical recruitment process is about, and how you engage with it, get comfortable with it, and how you can most effectively present yourself to employers. So watch this space on Grad Edge. It's due to relaunch in a couple of weeks' time. You'll see it on the MyCareer tabs there. It just says Grad Edge. So do highly recommended. Check it out in a couple of weeks' time. And I know we'll be heavily promoting it across all our social media channels, the website, etc., when it goes live. So that's all I'm going to say on Grad Edge. So Al, I'm going to hand over to you now for your two favourite CareerConnect resources.
Okay, I just wanted to add a little bit more about
MyCareer. I'm getting MyCareer and CareerConnect mixed up. MyCareer.
I just wanted to add a little bit more though about the Grad Edge Award, and just say that you can add that onto your CV. So if you do the award, add that. Employers really want to know how you stand out from the crowd. What additional things have you been doing? And that's a really good, piece of evidence to put on your CV, especially at the moment where we're working remotely. And you might be thinking of, well, what personal development can I do in my spare time? Grad Edge is a really great place to start. And also as well, I think that because it is all about employability and getting you ready for that job, updating CVs, getting ready for interviews, all those skills that you're going to develop are really going to help you. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Grad Edge Award. Okay, so I'm going to move on now and talk about my favourites. Okay, so the first tool I want to speak about is the interview simulator. So you can find that under Careers Tools. Now, hot off the press, again here, this is actually going to be updated in October, so look out for the next version. So if I just kind of explain a little bit about what it is first, and then I can tell you then later on about how it's going to be updated. So for example, going for interviews, I think is something that we all probably dread. We need to practice, and the interview simulator is a really great tool to use to actually practice your interview skills. And again, how to answer interview questions. So what you can do is you can go on to browse questions. So what you can do is you can kind of browse the questions and decide if there's specific questions that you would like to answer through a mock interview, or you can just have kind of questions just generated for you. So the way that the interview simulator works is if you want to kind of take a mock interview, so if you can click on the mock interview box, Helen, I don't know if it allows you to click on that box. Does that open up? Right, so like we said, you can choose from pre-built, which, like we said, automatically selects questions for you, or custom is where you can pick your own questions. So for example, maybe you've been given a job description and maybe they've given you some ideas of what you might be asked to interview, or maybe you can tell from the application the kind of things you might be looking for. You might want to actually customize your questions here. So again, what you can do is you can do a mock interview, and you can do that via doing it by audio, by video, or written. If you click on the watch, okay, I think this is where there's kind of resources here to kind of help you with putting some like employer advice here. Okay. So again, there's some really kind of interesting information here that you can have a look at here, and some advice on how you kind of answer the questions. What you get then after you kind of do the mock interview is you'll get some employer advice on how you kind of answered the questions. So again, a great kind of tool to look at. You could also choose whether you want to have the interview timed. So for example, you've got to be able to think on your feet in an interview situation. So maybe you want to have that as real life as possible experience so that you can answer the questions in quite a short time frame. So it's a really good kind of tool to use, I guess, to give you the chance to start practicing your interview techniques. The new version is going to be more sophisticated. And what you can do with a new version, or what you should be able to do with a new version, is it works by the information that you've put into the CV on CV 360. So look at the information around your CV and ask you questions based on that. So you would upload your CV from CV 360 and then go and use the interview simulator. Also as well, I think it can give feedback on body language as well. So it's not just about the answers that you give, it's your whole kind of approach to the interview, looking at, how you engage as well during an interview situation. So that's a little bit about Interview Simulator. I can see, do we have any questions coming in the box? I'm just looking in the chat box. I don't think we have any questions at the moment to answer. No, okay. So the next resource I wanted to kind of have a look at is the personality assessments. So again, the personality assessments are under the career assessment section on the MyCareer website. So career assessments on the top tab. Okay. So again, what you'll find here is loads of different resources here to kind of help you to really think about how your personality and your strengths might help you, in the workplace. So one I kind of had a look at was based around strengths. So again, this allows you to assess your strengths. So it's right at the bottom, there's kind of like, a rock formation. It allows you to assess your strengths and think about how you might use these strengths in the workplace. I think what we're kind of saying is you're working, it's really important that to be able to understand yourself and how you do a job and how to do the job to the best of your ability is to think about your strengths, your weaknesses, think about your personality, because all of this will help you to kind of decide what kind of career might be right for you. So for example, if you're doing personality tests and there's questions around, are you somebody who likes engaging with people? Are you quite an outgoing person? Then I guess roles where you're very kind of client facing, where you're engaging, every day with people, those might be roles you enjoy. So again, it can help to think about what kind of roles might interest you, and I guess the skills that you want to use within the workplace. So that's just another. There's loads of different resources there under personality for you to kind of start having a look at, to start kind of really exploring how your personality, abilities, kind of might link in with career ideas for the future.
Can I just say, Alison, as well, it's great because I work with psychology students. That particular section on MyCareer is a fantastic resource for any of you psychology students out there who are interested in that sort of stuff. But great if you're particularly interested. I'm thinking maybe final year students now who might be particularly interested in moving into occupational psychology. All of that sort of stuff is tunes into working as an occupational psychologist. And for sure, occupational psychologists, sometimes one of their roles is they develop tools like that. So it's a fantastic resource generally, and really interesting stuff right at the start of your career planning journey. I think before you can even begin to think about the sorts of jobs that you want to do or you'd like to do, it's the starting point. It's all about you. It's all about understanding where you're coming from, and then start to look at how all of that fits into individual jobs and sectors. So yeah, I love the career assessment section. It's fantastic. It's great. Really interesting resource.
Okay, do you think we should move on now to Careers Connect?
We should, because time is racing on. we thought we might have to repeat this because we thought, oh, but actually we've yeah, we need to move on. So we're now moving on to a section called Careers Connect, which again you can get into this. Easiest way is get onto our website and click the Careers Connect button. I'm just going to look at a couple of things on here very, very briefly. I mean, basically, I know that in the Facebook Live sessions that have been mentioned previously this week, that Careers Connect has been referred to quite a lot. So I don't think we need to do vast amounts on this, do we? But Careers Connect, I mean, one of the key things with Careers Connect is that you can search for what we call opportunities. And when we say opportunities, we mean things like part-time jobs, holiday jobs, graduate jobs, placements, volunteering. And so as a student or a graduate of the University of South Wales, those are probably the key things that you potentially would be looking for. So when you go into Careers Connect, you can search for opportunities. Just a couple of key tips in terms of the criteria to search on, basically to get to where you want to get to. So if you're a first year student, we were thinking that you're probably maybe looking for a part-time job to just earn some money while you're in university. Now, I know in the current climate, that's not going to be easy. And I think one first thing to say is that if you're struggling to find, you need to find something and you're struggling to find something, then please book an appointment to speak to a careers advisor and we can maybe have a discussion about that. But if you're looking for a part-time job on the opportunities section, there are a number of, you should go to the, if you search on opportunities and look at the opportunity type, there's a section there, it says opportunity type, and that breaks down all the different types of jobs that you can search for. So if you're looking for a part-time typical student job, I would suggest that you click the categories casual work, part-time work, and student job. And if you're also looking for jobs in holiday period, there's also another section there called, I think, vacation jobs, or vacation work. And that will bring up, jobs either locally or nationally, or we have seen, and we are increasingly seeing, you will get remote online jobs listed on there. Or if you are looking for remote working, certainly this term, again, so I'd say book an appointment with a careers advisor, because there are some sort of home working sites that have quite a lot of remote working opportunities at the moment that we can signpost you to. But the Career Connect system is for sure a good starting point. You'll also see on there, probably commonly as a student or a graduate at USW, you will either also search on that section for graduate jobs or internships and placements or volunteering. And at any one time of the year, you'll see, certainly for graduate jobs, placements and volunteering, you'll see hundreds of vacancies listed on there. I think the great thing about this particular vacancy system is that a lot of employers who maybe want to target USW students and graduates would choose to list their vacancies on this system. So we may well be advertising vacancies that are more local to the university, certainly for part-time jobs, but also for graduate jobs, than you might see on big national graduate job search sites. So it's a good one to sign up to. let's just see if there's anything. I mean, the other categories you can see that you can search for. You can search for organisations on that system. So you may think, well, okay, I want to find out if Tesco are advertising any jobs. So you could search put Tesco in the organisation search facility, and it will bring up whether Tesco are actually advertising any particular jobs. Obviously, other supermarkets are available. I'm not just promoting Tesco. You can also search for location, search by country, and interestingly, you can search by salary. So certainly if you're looking for, I guess, a graduate job or maybe a paid placement, and you know you have to be earning a certain salary or you've got a certain salary expectation, you might want to search on, you know, salaries up to 25,000 or whatever and see what types of jobs come up. So that, I mean, it does what it says on the tin, really. I think it's, you need to just spend some time having a look at the sorts of vacancies on there. What I'd also say is, certainly in terms of graduate jobs and placements, it's great for obviously second year and final year students. But even if you're a first year student, I would really encourage you to start looking at those placement and graduate job vacancies now, because what it will do is it will start to give you a sense as to what the possibilities are for you over the next couple of years. So don't wait until next year or the year after to start doing that search. Start having a look now, because it will really start to open up, I guess, open up your mind as to what the possibilities might be for you. And don't just look at the job titles. Click on the jobs, have a look at what that job is about, what the employer is asking for. Because it will really start to prepare you for final year when you're actually applying for jobs. And the other thing that I wanted to say about this is you'll see graduate jobs, i.e. jobs where you have to have a degree, being advertised now. You might find that a little bit confusing, and not all graduate jobs, but a lot of what we call graduate employers run things called graduate schemes or graduate traineeships. And what they do is they recruit for those very early on in the year. So you would be expected to apply as a final year student in the autumn term. So you may apply for the job in the autumn term, be interviewed early on in the spring term. So let's say by February of spring term, you may have a job offer on the table on condition that you pass your degree, and you will start that job 6 months later in, say, July or August. So the recruitment process is sort of like front loaded into the autumn and early spring term. Not all jobs, but a lot of graduate employers work on that sort of recruitment timetable. So don't be surprised when you're seeing graduate jobs being advertised early on in the autumn term. That's not unusual. So I think that's all I'm going to say about the opportunities. Al, do you want to just briefly talk about events and the employer search facility on there?
So I think as well, it's good to kind of add that you can also search on kind of sector. So for example, if you are thinking that you might want to work within law, you can break it down into law, barrister, solicitor, and actually look then at kind of live vacancies. But what you can also do then is if you click on the search, which I think in your field, I think appears at the top, you can search on employers there. And again, you can do a search based around specific sectors. So for example, if you wanted to find a list of employers related to law, you can use that facility. So that might be useful if you're maybe thinking about approaching employers from a speculative point of view. Maybe you're wanting to get some work experience in law and you're thinking about, well, what are the law firms I could contact, say within my area. So again, it would give you a kind of list then of employers. And what's really kind of useful as well with all the information in CareersConnect is that you'll probably have a named person. So for example, there would be a contact that you can reach out to. It's not just a kind of employer with an address. So again, and often that's quite a good way then of reaching out to employers. The other thing to kind of mention as well is when you kind of first sign up, I think it automatically takes you to your profile. And in your profile, you'll get a drop-down menu, which will ask you about alerts. So what you can do then is you can sign up for, I think, weekly, I think it could be monthly alerts. So as jobs become available, you can sign up for those alerts to come through to you. And you can do that under the profile section. You can also sign up for event alerts. So for example, under the events section, what you'll find is information about all the different types of events that we're running and events that we're kind of signposting to students. So for example, if you go to the events section, you will find information about some of the great webinars our colleagues are running. So if you would like to attend a webinar around CVs, you can go into CareersConnect and you can book onto one of our webinars. You can also, we also kind of advertise other kind of events that you might be interested in. So for example, there's a virtual careers fair that we've got in the events section for the 6th of October that's run by Target. So again, I think this is the first kind of virtual kind of careers fair that they're running. So again, that's a great opportunity to sign up if you want to kind of reach out to employers and network with employers through a remote kind of virtual platform. So again, there's lots of kind of resources there for you.
I think as well, Al, I noticed that on the events, I think one of the first events that, excuse me, are listed at the moment is it's National Graduate Week. And then that's not just for graduates, that's for undergraduate students as well. So that's happening, and that's happening over the weekend as well. So it's been happening all week. It's happening today and Saturday and Sunday. And it's an opportunity for you to catch up with some key organisations and graduate employers out there. So there's a link on the events listing if you wanted to just sort of dip in and out, join in with some online discussions there. It's a fantastic opportunity, whether you're first, second, final year or graduate. Really great opportunity just to sort of jump in and get engaged with that fantastic week of activities. And just great that it's happening over the weekend as well. Just if it's raining outside, you can't, nothing on the TV. How about spend an hour online with National Graduate Week. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Okay, we got 3 minutes left.
So should we go back to competition?
Oh, yes.
So again, yes, let's mention the competition. So if anybody has joined us halfway through the session and you're not aware of our Capture Your Career competition, I'll just update you on this great opportunity to take part in the competition. So again, this is a competition that we're currently running. So you've got the chance to win £500 of digital kit, which can include an iPad, laptop, Chromebook, etc. All you have to do is take a photo of your chosen career path and post it on either Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, and include the hashtag USW Capture 2020 and tag us at USW Careers. And again, make sure that you follow us on one of our social media channels to be included in the prize draw. The prize draw is taking place on Thursday. Is it the 30th of September? Don't know why I said Thursday. Is that Thursday? Is it Thursday? September. And again, if you sign up to kind of listen to the prize draw, you'll also get the opportunity to win extra prizes, which can include Amazon vouchers. So please, we're really looking forward to seeing all your Capture Your Career photos.
I think as well, isn't there a celebrity presenter during that, giving out those prizes? I won't say any more than that, but that's just maybe
tune in.
Tune in, draw people in. There's a celebrity, a Welsh celebrity presenter. So yeah, tune in. So get your entries in and tune in next week. Okay. Is there any, assuming there's no questions, there are no questions, I guess we've answered, hopefully we've answered any questions that you might have had in, you know, in that our chat and banter today, Al. I think hopefully we've covered everything. But I think it will be good. I mean, hopefully we will catch up with any of you listening in person, online, obviously, this term. And I sort of just want to say in closing that I wish you all a good term and a happy term and a productive term. It's challenging for everybody, difficult times, and, you know, look after yourselves and stay safe and enjoy the experience. Al, anything you'd like to say?
I'd just say thank you for listening to our Facebook Live today. It's been great spending this hour with you. Have a great weekend. And, you know, I think I'm ready for another cup of coffee now. Don't know about you, Rhiannon.
Definitely a large one, yes.
and please, if you have any questions, you know, you can contact us. You know where the links are now on our website. You can contact us to book an appointment, or you can always post any questions that you might have in our Ask a Question facility. So yeah, we look forward to working with you, seeing you all through the academic year, even if it is remotely at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
all
forever.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.